Hello, my name is Angela Owens with Phenomenal Business Solutions, and I help dealerships streamline their finances, increase their profits, and grow their businesses. Today, we are going to be talking about buy here, pay here, and we're going to be talking about the legal license and ready to lend. So I'm going to go through some things that you need to get in order before you start to doing your buy here, pay here. If you've already started doing buy here, pay here, this could possibly help you to make sure that everything is in compliance and see if you need to do something else. So your setup matters because buy here, pay here dealers are held to a higher regulatory standard. It's different if you get third party financing because they will be responsible for all the laws that are entailed for lending. Because as you already know, the car dealership industry already has a lot of rules and regulations. And once you add financing to your dealership, that's a whole new ballpark of regulations. So you're definitely going to be held to a higher standard. And compliance mistakes can cost you thousands and possibly get you shut down. So you need to make sure that you understand the laws that are required for this type of setup. And a clean setup protects your cash flow and your reputation. So if everything is in order, it makes it easier for you to deal with your clients and keep everything professional and also to keep your cash flow going properly. And if you do it right the first time, you can avoid major headaches later. So step one, finance and licensing and finance licensing and compliance. So first of all, you need to see if your state requires a separate license in order for you to offer buy here, pay here. It's possible that your state will have you to do this when you apply for your original dealer's license, but just check and see if there's a separate requirement. And if there is, you want to complete the application through your state's regulatory agency. And it's possible that they will need to check your credit and your background and get fingerprint checked. I know they probably did that before you got your dealer's license. Sometimes this this agency can just double check with the DMV, but sometimes they may want to do it on their own. Also, it's possible that you may have to submit financial statements and another bond. You already get a bond to get your license, so it's possible that your state may require a separate bond for the financing part. And you have to definitely comply with ongoing renewal reporting and audit requirements. I'd already know in the dealership industry, the laws change all the time. So you need to make sure that the finance laws are up to date for you as well. Then you got your contracts and disclosures. So you want to use state compliant retail installment contracts. Your software that you use for your dealer management service, they should have retail contracts already in the program. So just check with them and see if they have those. Even if they do, you want to get those checked and looked over by a lawyer just to keep yourself in compliance and make sure that everything is on the up and up. Also, you want to include truth in truth in lending disclosure. And with that, you want to make sure that you are disclosing your APR, your finance charge, the total amount financed, payment schedule, and the right of rescission. What I recommend is that even though you're going to give them the form and they're going to sign the form, I suggest that you go through those numbers with your new customer just to keep things transparent and keep things going smoothly and everybody understands what's going on. Sometimes people may come in and all they are concerned about is their payment. You know, how much am I going to have to pay every month, but they're not thinking about the overall cost of that particular financing. So you just want to be transparent with your customers and let them know exactly how much it's going to cost them to finance that deal. And clearly state payment terms and late fee policies and maintain signed documents for every deal. And that is very important too, because A contract is not valid until you and the customer sign it. So make sure you sign every line that you're supposed to sign and make sure they sign every line that they are supposed to sign. So now we're going to jump into collections and legal procedures. You want to have documented collections process. Now, there is a law that you have to keep everything equal opportunity. You cannot discriminate for certain things. So if you have a documented collections process, then you can show that you are not being favorable to certain people with your collections process. You also have to understand the laws on repossession and notice requirements. Just because somebody is late or whatever on their payments and stuff, there is a process that you have to go through before you can even begin the repossession process. So you need to understand the law in your state and how that works and what you are allowed to do in regards to repossession and what paperwork you need to have to process the repossession. Also, you need to avoid harassment and improper collections practices. For example, I know in Texas there's no debtor's jail, so you can't call people and tell them that they're going to go to jail for not making a payment or something like that. So, and then there's certain hours that you're allowed to call people. So just keep track of what you are allowed to do and what you're not allowed to do as well, just so that you can stay in compliance and understand what you can do. And then you need to file your charge offs correctly for tax purposes. So when you collect an income, you don't want to show that you made money when you haven't made the money. So you need to update your books properly to show that it was uncollectible. Okay, and then the financial and risk management. So separate your sales and finance accounting. This is a good idea so that you can understand when people are behind, and also you can see how much money you're actually making on the buy here, pay here. And it also will allow you to see if buy here, pay here is actually profitable for you or if it's more of a headache that you want to deal with. And track your aging receivables and payment history and reconcile principal, interest, and sales tax monthly. In some states, you only pay sales tax on what your customer actually pays you in that particular month. And then some states may collect the sales tax on the full sale, and then you'll have to request a refund on whatever you don't collect from that sale. So you want to make sure that all of your data is correct so that you can either not pay too much or you can get the proper refund that you need if your customer does not pay and you end up repossessing the vehicle. And also you need to use software that is designed for buy here, pay here. Your dealer management services most likely will have a portal inside of it that you can use for your buy here, pay here. So that is helpful. Stay protected and stay profitable. Have your documents reviewed by a compliance attorney. That's what I mentioned earlier. Even though your software has the contracts available, you will still want to get a lawyer to check it over and make sure that everything is good and up to date. Train your staff on lending regulations. As you get updated on new policies, have a meeting and explain to everybody to make sure that all of your staff understands what they can and can't do when they are offering financing to your customers. And update systems as laws and requirements change. As I mentioned before, the laws change all the time. So you want to make sure that you are up to date on everything to keep your dealership compliant. And also work with a financial expert who understands dealership. So if you're ready to get compliant and confident, you need to review your current buy here, pay here setup and identify risks. Get a step-by-step checklist customized specifically for your state and build a system that keeps you compliant and profitable. And if you need assistance with that, you can definitely book your appointment with me at angelaJowens.com/calendar. Here's the rest of my contact information. If you haven't already downloaded my ebook, you can go to angelaJowens.com/5 mistakes. And again, you can also check out my blog. I am starting to put a blog together for people who prefer to read versus watching videos. So you can visit my website at phenomenalbusinesssolutions.com and check out my blog to get even more information. And definitely follow me on social media and on YouTube. Facebook will delete live videos after 30 days. So I put all of these videos on YouTube. So make sure you subscribe so that you can always have access to these videos at any time. And it was great talking with you today. I hope you learned a lot from this session. And make sure you book your appointment, AngelaJOwens.com/calendar. Have a wonderful Tuesday.